What's up, guys? I'm Laura from Reading in Bed, and this is going to be a Friday Reads because it's been a while and I wasn't sure where to start. I'm actually filming a bunch of videos today, but let's like start simple, okay, with the little Friday Reads action. So, technically this was a Thursday read. I finished Schadenfreude, a love story by Rebecca Schuman late last night. I've already filmed a more in-depth video about it, kind of tangentially, but more so about like reading memoirs in the time of authors being extremely online. But just briefly, I really like the book. Like that video is getting into like a lot of negative stuff, but the book itself I really enjoyed. And I would say if you're the kind of person who grew up reading a lot of Dave Barry, and then you also became an angsty teenage girl in the 90s and you enjoy 90s nostalgia, you really need to read this. And also if you have any interest in some of the topics she covers, learning German, being exposed to German culture, academia, then you also need to read this. It's very funny, and it was a nice respite from some heavier reads that I had going on at the same time. So that's Schadenfreude, very similarly yellow covered, but very different. This is Nudge. So this is a business book. It's about like behavioral economics and what's called nudge marketing. Seems to be having a moment right now. Like it's coming up a lot at my work. I work in marketing. I hear people talking about it. I know some of my colleagues have read this book. This book's like 10 years old, but yeah, for whatever reason, it seems to be having a little bit of a moment. So I'm reading it. Usually I hate business books. So far this one is okay. I'm not that far into it yet. And because, I have a business degree, I took economics courses and I took a lot of psychology electives. So far the stuff in here I'm reading is stuff that I already know. It's all about the different rules of thumb and heuristics and cognitive biases that people have. So I already knew a lot about that, but I find that stuff interesting. That's why I took all those psych electives. I wasn't ever really a big fan of or good student of economics, but hopefully a book like this can like sort of make it easier for me to understand. And really, I mean, the real test will be whether or not I actually apply this to anything I do at work. So yeah, I mean, I'm reading a little bit each day. It's not the kind of book I'm going to get super excited about, but so far so good. So that's Nudge. Now, lastly, we need to talk about Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I am on page like 275 of 700-ish. I'm having to force myself to read, 25 pages a night, like by setting a timer and forcing myself to read for like 20 minutes at a time. That's not a good sign right there. I'm not even halfway through, and it's just like... And knowing that there's more than 100 people waiting for this at the library, and for some reason our library only bought 5 copies, the right thing for me to do would be to return this. And if it wasn't a blizzard outside right now, I probably would go do just that, but you might have to wait till tomorrow. I don't know. I'm kind of wobbling. I would like to sort of get through it just so I can, be part of the conversation. But really, so far, my reactions are quite similar to a lot of other readers out there. But I mean, that's the interesting part for me. When you look at the, mainstream reviews of this book, like if you go on to Bookmarks, which is a website that kind of like, it's kind of like Rotten Tomatoes for books. It pulls together all the mainstream reviews. For this book, they're almost all rave reviews. Some positives, I think like one kind of mixed in one pan, which is like, way better than most books get. And I have to think it's something to do with the author's charisma, because he is a very, sort of well-respected, obviously very smart guy who's won the Man Booker Prize. I've read some of his sort of like nonfiction and criticism and stuff. It's very good. He is someone that I followed on Facebook back when I was on Facebook, which I normally don't do with authors, but he was very smart and funny on Facebook. So I think he has a lot of respect among, people in those circles. I don't know if that's why, or like if all of us normal readers are just like missing something or what, but it is not working for me. It is a big old mess. The plot is all over the place. The characters are, I don't know. A lot of the reviews I'm reading, like I say, aren't even so much about the book. They're just like, ooh, African Game of Thrones, which I don't know enough about Game of Thrones, but again, people out there are saying like, no, actually it's not. It's drawing on like all sorts of different like African mythology and stuff, which is cool. And I've read and enjoyed books that do that as well. But this one, it just seems to be trying to do too much all at the same time. And now I've read two things in various reviews that concern me. One was that the rest of this series, because it is a series, is going to be the same story, but just told from different characters' perspectives, which I'm like, oh my God, really? And if I can find the review, I'll link it, but I found a review somewhere that said some of the early readers, like not people just getting arcs, but people who were probably paid to like read early versions of this, came back with a lot of feedback about the female characters, and basically that James kind of pumped up the female characters and added length to the book too to address that. And it's like, is that why this feels so bogged down? I mean, if he wants to write a book that's mostly concerned with men and male characters, and like, you know, like male characters that are in love with each other or having sex with each other, which like that, you know, this is a very like homoerotic book. We have, you know, the leopard / man shapeshifter having sex with all sorts of different people, and like, you know, there's lots of crazy stuff going on. I mean, I gotta think that's like, why not just let him do that? Why like try to insert all this stuff about female characters if that's not the story he's writing? I mean, that's a whole other conversation about like sensitivity readers and so, and I don't know if that's what this was, but just something about that really, I was like, oh, like maybe that's what's wrong with this. You know, maybe he didn't get to write the story he really wanted to write. Which, you know, like I said, he's won a Booker Prize. Like, let the dude write what he wants to write, people. But as it is, yeah, this is not working, and it'll probably go back to the library pretty soon. So if you're one of those 107 people here in Edmonton waiting in line, yeah, I'll stop hoarding this book and get it back to you soon. So yeah, that's my Friday reads. I'm also reading The Sweet Girl by Annabelle Lyon. I have a paper copy, but I'm reading it on my phone. I just like to kind of have something available on my phone as well. But given that I'm taking this one back and I'm done Schadenfreude and all that, I am looking for something new to pick up. So maybe I'll go check out some of your Friday reads and see if I can get inspired. All right, thanks for watching.